Hi, welcome to Sober Banter. I'm Colin,
And I'm Rachel.
and we have a guest today.
We have Nathan.
And I'm Nathan.
And that's Nathan.
Chicago Nathan. Well, Indiana, Tennessee, Chicago.
Yeah. Never lived in Chicago, but love the Cubs. So
We were there the year visiting that it was like the next year that they won, or that year. It was like a vibe in the city for sure. It was a vibe.
Yeah, that was a bit. Yeah, that was.
It was either anti-Trump t-shirts or Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, something like that.
Those were the two vibes I remember. And that was it.
Yeah.
I'll have to tell you my giving up story on the Cubs, because the last game of the series, there was a rain delay, and I thought they'll just reschedule this game and the Cubs are going to lose anyways. That was my mindset, right? Because the Cubs, that's what they're known for.
Oh yeah.
They don't win. Cowboys fan. So.
Yeah, they don't win. They don't win the World Series. And so I went to bed, and the rain delay lifted, and the Cubs won the World Series, and I woke up the next morning so mad at myself because I missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but if you've seen all the games leading up to it, and I feel like
I know
you still get to celebrate the win for the whole year, you know.
Yeah, that reminds me. But
yeah,
I was 10 years old when something similar happened. I was trying to stay up to watch the Dallas Stars win the Stanley Cup, and it went into, I think, 3 overtimes. 98, 99, and I was 10 and fell asleep, and my dad just woke me up on the couch and said, "Hey, the Stars won the Stanley Cup." And I was like, "Huh? What?" And just went back to bed. And then the next day, I think I was mad that he didn't like wake me. He's like, "I did wake you up." So yeah, I can relate a little bit.
But 3 seconds before it's over,
Yeah.
up.
I mean, I just kind of equate like sports. I used to be drinking so much that I'm like, in sobriety, if I got to see any of it, it's still like more than I would have remembered before I got sober. Because if the Cowboys were in the playoffs, I mean, I was obliterated by that, because I used that as an excuse, like, oh, they're in the playoffs, like, and I couldn't even remember after halftime.
We hosted a lot of like sporting watching parties, but I don't remember actually watching.
Yeah, we didn't watch the game, and we like watching the game.
Yeah, but we were too busy hosting, throwing back shots, and making sure other people had shots, and it was just kind of in the background, or a reason to drink was, "Hey, come over, we'll watch the game," and never watched the game.
Yeah. So I mean,
I never made it past the first quarter, probably. I mean, of a football game, typically I would bar hop and go with people and watch games, but I never could tell you what happened past the first quarter.
yeah, and I mean, I'd be in the camaraderie because I'd be like, "Oh, they got a touchdown, like, let's get shots." But it wasn't like I watched all the drives leading up to that to get you know? And
Right.
now I actually get to, like, enjoy, which we have gone to a Cowboys game sober, and it was so much more fun to actually just, like, well, it was still Jerry World, so it's just a lot going on, but even
Right.
just people watching the actual game, seeing the, like, celebration of the fans, like, it was a lot. I was when I was drinking, I was, like, so numb to all of it, and,
Yeah.
I've since learned too, I have a little social anxiety, which, again, drinking used to really mask and accelerate, until then I was no longer socially acceptable. And I was asked, to leave, and, or I fell asleep, either one, both worked.
I
And
used to think like that it made me a better person, right? Like I
yeah,
was the more fun guy, and the University of Tennessee a couple of years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, just legalized alcohol sales, beer sales in their stadiums. And
yeah, that's been a thing, yeah.
I remember going to a game when they first, like, were serving alcohol, and thinking, and watching people and thinking, "Was did I act like that? Like, was that was that me?" Because that's kind of embarrassing, like, and not to throw shade on anybody, but,
No.
like, just thinking of how I acted and how I behaved, and just wondering, like, was it at that level, or knowing me,
Worse.
was it worse?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the
Right.
grace of God, there go I. And
Right.
um I mean, when that's why I've told like if sponsees or other people in who are sober are going to an event that they're like, I used to drink really heavy at, I'm like, be of service. Like, do what people used to do for you. And you look at someone who might need a water, like, hey, maybe you could
Right.
use a cup of water or something like. Because if you see someone, you've probably been there too, and now it's your turn, so you can silently be the helper.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's being of service in those scenarios.
Yeah.
But I do want to give a little. We've kind, like I said, we kind of just dive into it, but
Yeah,
I
that's
know
great.
your background is. I'm interested. I wasn't sure when you reached out if you yourself were sober, so it's cool to see you were sober since '03, correct?
2003. Yeah.
Since 2003.
Wow.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
Yeah.
like, speaking to teens and talking about, especially the adverse childhood experiences, the ACEs, um, which I've learned about because I'm in school for addiction,
Oh, cool.
and so taking, like, I had a high ACE score, so it was already it can get a little, like, I got triggered when I tried to go to adult children of alcoholics, like, my therapist and I are working together until I have a little bit better base. 'Cause I have a pretty high score on that one. But how did you kinda get into that, or what led you to going for the childhood teenage route?
So it's the most random thing. I I had a pretty major back surgery, and I couldn't keep doing the work that I was doing. I couldn't keep doing retail management and or like working in a warehouse, and those are like my two go-to things that I would do. And so I had this friend, and I called her and I said, "Hey, I put in an application at a car dealership to sell cars. Would you be a reference for me?" And she didn't call me back. Like, I just left her a message and she didn't call me back. And I thought, well, that's awful. Like, I guess we're not friends. Um, and,
You have to be
and
like, "Can I
she,
still put you down, though?"
right. Maybe she'll answer their call. Um, but she was actually on vacation, and she shuts her phone off when she's on vacation to deplug and all that stuff. And so when she got back, she said, "Nathan, I know that you have worked with some kids at church, and I've seen the way that you interact with them. And there's this job at a nonprofit that I I'm on the board at, and I think you'd be a really good fit for this job." And so she gave me an email address and she said, send your resume, but I'm just gonna like kind of plug them in on who you are and all about you. And so I sent my resume, and I got called for an interview, and I went in. It's probably the easiest interview I've ever been in, because she really just kind of like rolled out the red carpet, which was super nice, but also like set really high expectations for me. And so I didn't know anything about anything. I learned everything about prevention, about substance misuse, about addiction, really. I mean, I knew my own stuff, I knew my own habits, and I knew all of that, but I didn't know any of the lingo, any of the terms, how any of it worked, and how to prevent it. And I learned everything from the nonprofit that I worked for. And it was really kind of scary how it worked out, because in my first week, the person that was leaving was training me, and it was Red Ribbon Week. Do you guys know what Red Ribbon
Yeah,
Week is?
yeah, we do that
Okay,
here.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
drug
okay.
free. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So it was Red Ribbon Week, and they were like, "Hey, we have an assembly scheduled at this school, and I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna teach them about medication safety." And I was like, "Okay, cool. I'll just kind of stand up to the side and watch." Well, the day before the assembly, I came into work, and the executive director was like, "Hey, you're up. She quit." And and I was like, what do you mean I'm up? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And there's like, here's this curriculum, like pick a few things out of it and just go have fun with the kids. And I was like,
Hmm, about drugs.
okay, about drugs. And I was like,
Go have
okay,
fun.
yeah, I can do that. Like I can have fun. And so I went in and I just played a game with the kids about medication safety. And it went well. I didn't like share a story. I didn't talk about anything, but that was pretty much like, that's what really got me excited about, okay, I do want to speak to kids about my story, and share and tell them like how they can make better choices and how all of this begins, how all of it starts. And it's not that you just make bad decisions because you made bad decisions. Like
Yeah.
there's the societal pressures, there is just the
Yeah.
pressure being a kid, there's the adverse childhood experiences if you have those, and most kids have at least one.
Mhm.
And so, if I can tell you that, it starts with those things and then all of a sudden you're just overwhelmed. You're completely overwhelmed and then here comes somebody and goes, "Hey, do you want to hit this vape?" And you're just like, "Oh, thank God somebody talked to me today. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to hit that vape."
How
And
long
now
Yeah, how long had you been sober before you started doing that circuit in, public speaking to the kids?
so I really started my public speaking, so the nonprofit was 2017.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you had a real big, longevity of sobriety to talk about.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't like just like a year or 2 years.
Uh-huh.
It was a while, and that's one thing that I really do like about the state of Tennessee is if you are looking for a job like that, or if you are going into to the state to work for the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, they're asking like, "What's your sobriety date?" Like, we wanna make sure that, you're not just 3 months into this
Yeah.
because this is a stressful job,
Mhm,
and, you're working with people who are right behind you if you're only 3 months.
mhm.
So they look at those dates, and, they wanna make sure that you're not just a fresh off the bus newbie, um, you know?
Well, unless you're like maybe your career is in that, right? Like there are still people that work in the field that aren't identified as alcoholic addict, but
Correct. Yes, yes.
yeah, unless they study.
Yeah.
But a lot of people in the addiction field come from either born from addiction,
Mm,
married to addiction, or addiction themselves, I believe.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Most of
Yeah.
the time, at least.
yeah.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean everyone, just
yeah.
the
I would
caretaking.
yeah, I would say it's pretty consistent, you know? Um, I'm sure there's a few that don't come from any of that, but I'd say it's pretty consistent.
And then
Yeah.
I know there was one thing, and you brought it up briefly in your example, but just vaping, because that's something we haven't talked about or that was brought up, but that is the last how many
Dude,
years?
I
5,
my
6 years?
my anxiety is so ridiculous, like, it saved me from vaping because, like,
The pimp
I
exploding?
yeah, I would just have this imagination of you take, like, an inhale and just goes, like, like, the mini
Yeah.
and then you die and everything, and, like, it's just, like, car blowing up scene, but with this little vape pen, and then it's, like and then your lips are gone, like, I mean, everything's done, and,
Yeah.
I was like,
One recall was enough to
one
I
recall was enough to I've
never vape,
never been
and
and
I've
then
never vaped
the one
either.
time I did, I went like I had a double fist to get me away in case I needed to throw the bomb
Oh,
away from my face,
that
and I'm like, "This is too stressful, like, I don't want this."
actually, now I'm thinking about it, yeah, I did before I was sober because 'cause I'd have friends that would have, like, THC vapes and stuff, so
Those blow
yeah.
up too,
Yeah,
those
which always seemed really sketchy on how to get, and, like, it was yeah,
Yeah.
the whole thing seemed very, sketchy and weird. I'm like,
if the liquid inside looks like a leveler, like what the stuff that's inside a level, I don't wanna smoke it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just a rule of thumb for me.
and I think one of the, I forgot where I heard this, but one of the issues was like you can add more nicotine into the vape, so it's more addicting than just your regular cigarettes. Is
What if
that
they accidentally put vegetable oil in there? You don't know.
yeah.
Well, and there's no way to tell how much nicotine is in any of the disposables that are on the market because the FDA doesn't regulate that side of it. I mean, you're supposed to go to the FDA if you wanna sell it on the market, but the Truth Initiative found out that 80% of the vapes on the market are illegal. They're not going through the process of being
Yeah.
approved to sell on the market, and so there's no way to even tell if a 0% nicotine disposable vape is actually 0% nicotine. The
What
American Lung
is
Association.
what is a disposable vape? Like a
Those are like the
one-time
ones you buy at the
use
gas station.
type?
Yeah, like the
Okay.
little square ones, I think, or a
Oh,
rectangle. They look like a hard drive.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, they
Kids
look
that
like
don't
a
know,
hard
that's what a
drive.
hard drive used to look like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I hate that they're called disposable too because they're so bad for the environment, and, like, just throwing them in the trash is so awful for our environment. It's disposable is the wrong term for them. Like,
Mhm.
there should be a campaign to change that term because you can't just throw them away. Like, you really have to figure something out, some way. I know the state of Tennessee on our drug take back days, they will take back the disposable vapes. So you
Mhm.
can drop them off. And I'm not gonna tell a kid, "Well, just keep your disposable vapes until it's drug take back day," and then, you know,
Yeah.
but
Save it for a rainy day, like,
Right,
ignore the
Yeah.
like, no.
right.
Kids
But
are too impulsive.
I am gonna advocate that schools, put up, like, amnesty boxes, and so if a student is like, "Hey, I quit vaping and I've got 4 vapes in my car, but I don't wanna keep them around, but I also don't wanna throw them away because I know it's bad for the environment." My school's got an amnesty box, so if I walk through the office and I put those in the amnesty box, it's no harm, no foul. I go to class, I'm good, right? Like,
Mhm.
I'm all for that,
But how
and
many kids are actually saying that they're not wanting to throw it away because the environment?
I get to teach these Saturday classes for the students that get caught vaping in several different counties in Tennessee, and when we start asking, like, like, "Do you care about our environment, and
Mhm.
and why do you care about it?" And they start to answer like, "Oh, well, yeah, I mean, I go hunting, I go fishing,
Okay.
I do this," and then it's like, "Okay, so do you know that when you throw that vape away and it goes into our landfills, that some of those chemicals can seep into our waterways and the water that those deer are drinking or the water that those birds are swimming in and drinking, and that those chemicals are getting into those animals, and now you have animals that can't be harvested the way that they're supposed to be harvested. What would it be like if you couldn't go hunting?" Oh, I'd be devastated. I wanna go, like, I wanna do that. It's one of my favorite things to do. What about fishing? Oh gosh, I love to fish. I wanna fish I fish all the time. Well, what if you couldn't?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
let's reframe the mindset, and let's get them thinking about what do they love doing, and then let's question what would happen if they had to stop doing that because they were throwing their vapes away or throwing them on the side of the road, you know?
Yeah.
That's I try to do that because if I can get them to think about the things that they care about more than those vapes, because there are things they care about more than those vapes, then I can get them to start thinking about, "Maybe I should quit.
Mhm.
Maybe I should
What's
stop."
the age group that you see? Is it 14 to 8? I mean, obviously, because you have to be, what, 18 to be able to
I I
get a
I
cigarette or vape?
so I'm gonna put even again, from my own experiences, at least from what I've even researched studied, when we're asking questions like legal, those don't always factor kids will get their hands on what they wanna get their hands on.
Yeah.
It's making them not wanna put their hands on it.
Right.
It's so being like, "Oh, is it legal?" Like, I don't think they care if it's legal,
Mhm.
They're not as scared about that as, like, the feeling of having to have it, like, anyone who's in an addiction is very resourceful, whether that's being from making a friend who'll be able to get it from you, who has an older brother,
Yeah, I was
who
about to say it's always an
or a
older
parent,
sibling.
and a lot of times, at least, again, in my experience, it's a parent that will enable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so the legal age is it's 21. You gotta be 21
Oh, okay.
I think that's
legally
for year
versus
2.
yeah, it's federal.
They
It's
did
every
that the year I turned 21.
What's is cigarettes 18 or 21?
21.
21. All
Okay.
tobacco. Yeah. And a
Turned
vape
the year I turned.
Oh, okay, so it used to be 18.
Yeah, it used to be.
yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And a vape is considered a tobacco product because it does come from there are components of it that come from the tobacco plant. So the way that our law was written in Tennessee a few years ago, it was very confusing because it looked like, okay, if I just had the device with no liquid in it and I was under 21, I was good. Like
Mm.
Yeah.
I couldn't be charged, but that wasn't the case.
Well, they try to
And
find loopholes.
yeah. But you know what's you said something really interesting too is that's one of the questions that I will ask students in this class is, "Where do you get your vapes?" And that's after I've built rapport with them for a few hours. And the majority of the time, the answer is, "Well, my mom and dad buy it for me, or my
Really?
dog buy it," or yeah, yeah, because they at least know where they're getting it from. That's their response. That's the parental they're trying to keep their kids safe in the best way that they can, and they'll
Or
say,
their
"I"
parents are doing it too, and they just don't care to the point
Right,
where they don't wanna have to it become as we talked about in our addiction with Evan, it becomes work to maneuver us in our addiction and raising him, and I can tell you that my dad near the end, as it was easier for him to include or say, "Hey, just you can, drink or whatever as long as you're with me,"
Yeah.
because it's a way of him just being able to drink or smoke the way he wants to
Mhm.
without having to worry about
Or hide
controlling
it.
me.
Yeah.
It becomes a much
right,
easier way for the initial addict to be like, "This is how I can make everything work in my circle."
But I remember hearing stories too, like parents would be like, "Well, if you're gonna drink, I'd rather you do it in my house and stay here." And and you'd hear stories.
Well, it's with them too because 'cause they're
Yeah.
drinking, and they're like they're not wanting to have to hide their thing, so it's like, if
right.
I include you and again, drinking, smoking, addiction, I've all learned connection. You talked about and
Yep,
you already said earlier, "Hey, someone hasn't talked to me all day and they ask if I want a vape." Yeah, I just want that connection, and
yep,
when you add that substance, you're putting on that blur, that film, but it still is better than nothing, at times, but there's other ways to make connections. It's just especially
yeah,
when it's your home life, it's so hard because you don't know any better.
right,
You
right,
don't know.
and you yeah, you don't,
I'm
and
coming
it
saying from someone who came from it, so I'm like,
yeah,
I know because I was there.
yeah. It's very interesting because some of the things you mentioned, when you think about parents saying like, "Here, just do this at home because I'm home, you're home, I've got control over it." As soon as I walk out of that door, I'm gonna go do it again.
Mhm.
I don't care if you're home or not. I'm gonna go find somewhere else to do it. If my friends are at the park doing it, if they're at an abandoned house doing it, if they're at their house doing it, I'm gonna go find somewhere to do it. And the mindset that those parents have is, well, if they're doing it, as long as I have control over it, you don't have control over it.
Oh,
If
no,
if
yeah.
you are if you're a parent and you're listening and you're thinking, well, I've got control over this because I make them do it at home. No, you don't. You do not have control over it because they are doing it everywhere else that they go. You're just lying to yourself, and
Well,
it's
then you also have if the parents leave the house, well, and you're there, you're gonna invite
right,
friends over to, either drink or do smoke weed or do whatever when the parent's out of the house, and then that becomes a liability if something were to happen to one of the kids in the house
I
when
yeah,
you
think,
leave.
again, coming from and I'm telling you, no one, or at least most people, are not thinking about the liabilities. Like, I don't think that when my dad would offer that or when he, got to that point in his alcoholism, it was all about how can I make it most convenient right now? He wasn't thinking about how he was gonna set me up for the future. He wasn't thinking about what impact it was gonna have on me. He was in the moment. He wanted to drink. He had responsibility of me. How can he make both work? He
Yeah.
could offer that, you can drink here and it can be cool and, at least I know where you're getting." It's just it's the parent is thinking from an alcoholic mind or from an alcohol. They're not thinking like that's why I'm like, if kids have something in their car, they're not might not be thinking of the environment necessarily. That's why they're storing it, or maybe it is, but I mean, most of the time, it's that moment. It's not thinking about, you know, 10 days, a year from now. It's a
Yeah.
quick fix. It's I want it. It's addiction. I
Yeah.
find my fix now. What solutions can I do in this moment? And
It's the empowered versus disempowered mind.
yeah.
And that's I mean, and that can go with anything. I mean, that can go with anger issues, that can go with, jealousy, like, it's just the empowered versus disempowered mindset. Um, you you had mentioned that it's connection, right? Like, it's connection.
Mm,
And, some very interesting data came out, and, I'll have to send you the link, but it said that 78% of students or teenagers who vape owned their device. It would they purchase it somehow, but they own their device. 72% of those students that of that
yeah,
72% of
of
that
that.
78%,
Right.
yeah, borrowed a device.
Mm,
They're looking for social connection.
right.
They
Mhm.
just need positive ways to find it.
I haven't really talked about this in sobriety as much, but one of the things I used to say and I'm stepping lightly here because I don't and, if I need to cut this, I can because that's my job. Um, but I almost wanted to tell kids, like, I had said when I was in my teenage years, because I grew up 2 alcoholic parents, and I swore I wasn't gonna drink or do drugs, but I don't think I had a choice after I had the first drink because it's like so that feeling of comfort that really did make me numb to the world, which is why I said if I were to give kids advice, I would tell them, "Don't do drugs because you're gonna like it." It's not because 'cause they're bad for you. They are. It's not because, you know, you're gonna end up homeless. That's not necessarily true. It's actually better sometimes if you end up homeless because then you get help. And so hitting like, having a high bottom can almost make it last longer, and you can be in that misery, right? Because you think you're controlling it. And I would say, at least I'll tell Evan, "Please don't do drugs because not because 'cause you're gonna not because it's bad, you will love it, and you will
Yep.
love it so much, you will let it go before anything else in your life." And that's why I would tell kids, like, don't do like, it once you start doing it, it becomes a part of your life, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just my
No,
take on it.
I mean, I agree with that. I mean,
I don't
I
wanna
re
lie.
I reframe it in a
Yeah.
different way of saying it, like, I would say, that feeling you get when you're just belly laughing, you can't breathe, you're laughing so hard, and then somebody else is laughing, and then you calm down for a minute, and then you both start laughing again, do you know that
That's
feeling?
kinda
It's
like what it
relative.
is, yeah.
Yes, yeah. That's dopamine, right? That's a dopamine rush that's going to your brain. That that's the same thing that drugs does to our brain, and I'm telling you, like, it's a feeling that you'll never be able to catch again. Like, you'll have that first one, but you'll never experience that first one again. With the belly laughing, that those kinda laughter moments, you can have those feelings again and again and again and again, but that high that you get that first time, you'll never catch it again, and you'll just chase it for the rest of your life, and, I'm not gonna scare you, I'm not gonna tell you that if you take a drink today, you're gonna die today. I'm not gonna tell you if you
Mhm.
smoke a joint today that you're gonna die
Doesn't
today,
work
right?
like
Like
that.
like no, it doesn't scaring kids does not work, and
Yeah.
it they're just I don't know, they can sniff out the if you're authentic or not, like, they know it right
Oh,
away,
yeah.
and if you just go in and try to scare them, like, they're onto it. They're just like, "Alright, next."
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you're honest with them and you're upfront with them,
Mm.
then they're gonna lean in and they're going to listen. And like, there's so many times where I've walked into a school and I've heard students say, "I don't know why you brought him in, this ain't gonna work." And then they listen to me talk, and then those same students are walking out and they'll stop and they'll go, "Hey, I'm really glad you came today. You really made a difference." And it's like, that's because I didn't come in to scare you. I just came in to educate you and share my story with you on what I've been through. And I didn't say, and I always say this, just because it happened to me doesn't mean it's going to happen to you.
No,
I
no.
always say that. But I just want you to know that it could possibly happen. And if you have anything like an incarcerated parent, if you've lost a loved one to an overdose, if there's any mental health issues in your family, and you have all three of those at one time, you're at a much higher risk. And if you're someone like me who has 4 or more adverse childhood experiences, then you're
Yeah.
38 times more likely to die by suicide. I'm not telling you that to
Yeah.
scare you. I'm just telling you that as the truth.
I feel like it's
You know?
also to share if you have these types of things in your life, it doesn't make you bad or scary. It's a normal brain response to a terrible event.
Yep.
And typically that's again, addiction's a disease of uniqueness. Like I'm different. I'll do it differently. This isn't how everyone else's is. It's
Mm.
I'm special. I'm unique. And you get sober and you learn, yeah, no one cares about me as much. I'm not unique. I'm like a lot of other people, but there's connection in that. There's a
Right.
lot of people I
Yeah.
have a lot of things in common with.
I believe the way you flip their mindset though is through the positive childhood experiences. And when I look at Colin's shirt, the Dallas Open, like I would
Mhm.
point that out. Like if you were a kid sitting in the audience, and I would not make a I wouldn't pull you out on like on the stage with me, but I would go, if you've ever been to the Dallas Open, or if you play tennis on the tennis team, that's a positive childhood experience because it builds character. It teaches you accountability, right? It teaches you to practice and to put effort in. There's rules and there's regulations, and like there's responsibility, and you have to take care of your equipment. Like there's all that's a positive childhood experience. And if you can do things like that and focus on those kinds of things, you won't have to worry about the small little adverse things that happen in your life, like, "I don't have a pencil today." Like, yes, that's a stressful moment, but if you know how to deal with the adversity because you've played in the Dallas Open or you played on the tennis team and you've dealt with adversity before, you know how to get through the day without that pencil. Like,
Mhm.
you know how to adapt, you know how to improvise, adapt, and overcome. Right? And we have to teach adults and we have to teach students that positive childhood experiences, improvising, adapting, and overcoming is the way to go. Because if we just spend too much time focusing on the negative, what do we get? We get the negative. We we've
Yeah.
got we've got to
Now
focus on the
see,
positive things.
you say that and I'm like, if that were me, looking at sports is a very negative childhood experience for me. That's one of my adverse ones is because after my parents got divorced, it was I was put in the middle of only one could attend certain games, or I was in big trouble if
Yep.
both of them showed up, or they'd both miss it and I'd be sad. And I was like, so by the end, it got to a point where I mean, I never continued because it was so much to manipulate between two alcoholic, angry parents that
Yep.
if I like was playing a sport, volleyball, and see them, like, they both ended up showing up, I knew I was gonna get in trouble that night because I was supposed to regulate who comes, who doesn't.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, I can feel my heart, like, already being like, "That would be pressure for me."
Mhm.
And that is,
Yeah.
like, one of the bad experiences I, like, don't wanna think
And
Yeah.
that's different because my parents are also
but
divorced,
they
but
handled it well.
well, yeah, that was the thing. They didn't put that pressure on me to regulate who comes to, like, my tennis match. It was, "Well, it's my week with Colin. I'll go to his tennis match this week." And then if I was at my mom's the next week and had a tennis match, then she would be the one to take me and watch me. So it wasn't anything I had to worry about or regulate. I've never heard you say that, but that's interesting how, yeah, they put that
I mean, for
on.
graduation, I had to pick, like, and it was
Yeah.
like it was hard. It was really, really hard.
'Cause, yeah, my parents, even though they were divorced, they still communicated with each other, about things, and they might not have liked each other or got along or agreed with each other, but in front of when it came to me, I was put first, and they set aside their differences. It wasn't until, like, after I graduated and they really didn't have to deal with each other through me that they've kind of really stayed in their own corners and not communicated at all. But
Yeah.
Yeah, and it got really bad after Ken moved in. Like, I mean, my dad would like be like, if we were to talk to him, and I mean, he lives in my house.
yeah,
Like, and I mean, that's how stressful it was. And um, yeah, so for me, I'm like, it's a trigger, but I know
Yeah.
that's not typically, and that's also this is a good way to say addiction, it doesn't mean like you have a parent or you don't have a parent. Like,
Right.
we have two totally opposite experiences, and yet we still have the issue of being alcoholic. And
Well, I'll throw in a third, like, I'm listening to you both talk and, you know, you said that, you had to pick at graduation and Colin, you didn't have to pick at graduation and I didn't even get a graduation. Like I missed
yeah,
my graduation and I didn't get to graduate. And that was my fault. That was because of my addictions and my parents
mm,
should get them. But I hear Colin say like my parents communicated, yours didn't. My parents they're still married. I didn't learn that until later in life.
if you're hearing this too, I think the big thing you probably drive home with teens, and this can be adults, like I feel like with myself when I got sober, I started kind of growing up at 27. These are things that are all you can work to change.
Yep.
It used to be poor me, poor me, poor me. Like if you had the life I had, as like Colin already knows, because it'd be like they knew that's when I hit my blackout, is when I'm like, you would drink, if
you
you
turned
had.
it into a competition with that.
And now it's like, okay, we've accepted, here's the cards I've had, but now I get to choose how I want to put them in order. And I get, now it takes time, it takes work, but I know staying away from the drink and drugs for me, staying sober is the only way I have a fighting chance to regain my life back.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the brain is it's still you still have neuroplasticity. I mean, past
Let's
35
hope
years
so.
old. Oh yeah, you
Let's
you
hope
do.
so.
I mean, you can
I'm
still learn
trying.
things. You can
Yeah,
still
no, but I'm
learn
saying,
things,
like,
I mean,
even at 40, I've seen people, or, 50, 60, like, there are people that I've heard share in meetings that, is it maybe they had 60 years of that harbored darkness and anger, and now they finally get to live life happy, joyous, and free as they learn to not numb out to the
Yeah.
things they used to numb out to.
yeah.
Because those are things I used to numb out to.
I think that's having a good sponsor, some good, good coaching, like that mentorship, that kind of thing. I think that really helps when you live that life for so long and then, you can live it on the flip side of it and live that more positive, like, hey, I don't have to be stuck in that mindset of, oh, well, life is always going to deal me a bad hand. You
It's
know,
hard. I mean,
it
and
is hard.
I would tell kids, like, yeah, it feels like that, and it feels like there's no one else who could possibly understand you, but, like, there are so many groups that you can't even fathom, the people who are just like you and would totally speak your language, and I think that's the putting those that's would be my way of, "Hey, here is some information. If that did sound good to you, find me later privately, email me, leave my email, because people don't wanna, like, be in public and,
Yeah.
like, they don't I don't know. What do you think, Colin? Like,
No, yeah, I agree. I'm still thinking about just talking about the open connection. And I know you deal with this with, talking to the teens, and I think you put it, or wrote it to us, just the loneliness factor that a lot of kids, have today, that I feel like we were maybe the last generation to right when social media was taking over. Because I graduated in '07,
I was like, "We?"
and,
I
well,
graduated in 12?
yeah, but '07 I think was right when, I got my first Facebook, and that was right when it started, but that was also, I feel like, the beginning of, social media as a connection form or base for how people would connect, and then they've lost that steadily through the years, and so you don't have a lot of that open
Passing notes
connection.
in class. That was
Yeah, or
fun.
talking to people.
Now they just text.
And I sometimes wonder how that's going to affect in the work life when, a boss yells at an employee. Would they just completely shut down?
But you go review that boss on Yelp and be like,
Yeah.
this boss fucking sucks. You go on LinkedIn and you give them 1 star.
Yeah.
It's like, never again.
But I mean, I've been yelled at before by a boss, and I deserved it and I didn't shut down. But, I
So
wonder
nice.
without some of those like really hardships or, how the younger generation is going to react to that.
Yeah, it's I don't know because I see the way they react to it in school. I mean, they cannot handle discipline in school. And yes, they're teenagers and I get it. There's all of that, but even when I was in school, if I messed up, like if I messed up and I knew it and and the right teacher, I'll say the right teacher because there were teachers that I knew they cared about me, and
Oh, yeah.
I knew
100%.
that, like, yeah, like, they're, holding me accountable was their way of saying, like, "Hey, like, I'm here for you, but you've gotta you
Mhm.
gotta you gotta act correct," you know? Um, even having those conversations, like, I knew, "Okay, I gotta get it together. I've gotta rein it back in, I gotta step up." But today, like, being in a school and, like, I'll be walking down a hall, and you'll see a teacher pull a student out, and it's just very dramatic. It's very dramatic, and, I matter of fact, I was at a school, I think it was 2 years ago, and all of a sudden, there was a circle forming in the hallway by the lunchroom, and phones went up in the air, and I knew right away what it was.
It
It was
wasn't
a
the
it was
Serenity Prayer, right?
no, no,
Was it?
no, it
No,
was
it
not.
wasn't. It
It
worse if
was
you work it.
right.
Yeah, no. No, I'm
It
kidding.
was a fight,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's the mentality though, is if you're going to come at me, I'm going to put you on social media, and I'm gonna make you look bad.
Mhm.
And the problem now today is it's not just the students. So if a student gets in trouble today, what you'll find, and this is just my opinion, and but I feel like it's probably right.
Oh, you're good. Like, I was
You'll
like,
you'll you'll find if a student gets in trouble today, if they get caught vaping, if they get caught skipping class, whatever it is, you'll find a parent on social media complaining about the school instead of holding their student accountable.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's the, "Oh, it's their it was their fault." Like, I also think that's, like, again, you can go, like, real deep in the that's probably how their parents did it. That's
Right.
this is a generation of how we learn. And again, getting sober is I learned I had a part in a lot of things, and that's not something had ever really learned. And now in therapy, I'm learning how to let go of some of those the auto thinking that my brain did for 25 years.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And because that doesn't go away, we just learn how to not react to it. We
Yeah.
respond. Man, the phones that man, I don't know the oh god, Black Mirror had one of those episodes where everyone was recording,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
the phone one, and, like, everything you ever did, like, everyone was just pointing a phone at this one person, and they felt so uncomfortable. I mean, the end of it, it was the person's punishment because they were doing it to someone else, and
Mm.
it makes me so eerie. Like, I'm like, I hate, like, people's first reaction is to, like, "Oh, I wanna I'm gonna go viral on TikTok with this,"
Right. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not like, "Hey, there's
It's
another
that
human."
moment.
There's another
Yeah.
human in that 2 humans, if fighting, that there's no reason to get physical.
When did schools completely give up on policing cell phones?
They
When
kinda
did
gave up
parents
when I was in there. Yeah.
when did parents Like that's that I talk to parents all the time and I'm like, do you look at your kid's phone? And they're like, no, it's theirs. And I'm like, do you pay the bill? They're like,
My
yeah.
parents sure looked
Like,
at mine.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's yours. Like that's
My
your
dad was to
phone.
look at my grammar and he'd be like, "You spelled that wrong," or "You did." He was a,
I don't-
I mean, and again, and we're talking about there are functional alcoholics, addicts as parents, and the grace that's given is that was really helpful when it came to making amends, like with my mom, who, yes, I know she's listening, and um, like because I thought like being a parent was the exception. Like, there's no way once I became a mom, once I became a wife, like there was always a if this, it would be different, and it wasn't. Um, Alcohol stood no chance against like, Evan is the light of my life, but, um, once alcohol was in the way, there was I wasn't the parent I wanted to be.
Right.
There was no again, it wasn't a choice. It's not like I was like it's addiction. That's what it
Yeah.
is. Um,
Um,
but yeah, if parent I mean, I think kids also, like, there's a thing, like, you want to be wanted to know. Like, I don't wanna be secretive in my phone, like, if Colin wants to see my phone, he can see it, like, I don't have
yeah.
any he
Yeah.
doesn't, but, I mean, with Evan, I'd still check his search history, like, to make sure, like,
I do laugh at those
there's
commercials that are out now with the Instagram teens, and I'm like, all these kids look really cool with their parents sitting them down, like, "You're gonna be on Instagram Teens." It's like, where's the yelling and the shouting? And they'll be like, "No, dad, let me
Right.
live my life."
well, yeah,
Right.
you have to
Right.
test the boundary. If you're not like, again, life is about, that's why there's rules. Like,
Yeah.
that's why when you break a rule, you're, like, kinda doing your little mini experiment. Like,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen?
Mhm.
Um, and
Yeah.
if yeah, I mean, it's all just kinda doing the best, but yeah.
I will say that there are some schools in Tennessee that are implementing no cell phones and parents push back on like what if there's an emergency and the
Mhm.
school district was like we have phones 911 we
Yeah.
can we can just like when you were a kid and you were in school we can still manage this.
Well, I remember if a cell phone went off or a teacher caught a kid with a cell phone, they would take it, and then the only way to get it back is a parent would have to come up to the school.
Let me
And
tell you about my nightmare horror story on
yeah,
that.
but I mean,
Oh,
that doesn't
so
mean you'd
I
be
want to
nice.
no. So I think somebody got sued. I'll have to if I remember, I think somebody got sued and it made it to where like you because it's property,
Yeah.
you can't just take
Well,
it.
that's because phones are now, like,
Well, my mom, that's how she
$1,000.
caught that I had sent pictures and she, like, had me fake arrested because, that's, you can be a, pedophile even as the child sending a picture to someone, and
You got
she, like,
fake
picked up
arrested?
yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah, my mom's friend it was her best friend's boyfriend at the time, and I didn't even put it together, but yeah, she had picked up my phone because it got caught texting at school. She went through my phone, saw pictures, then had her Tracy is her friend, had her, boyfriend at the time, who was a police officer, come and arrest me and tell me, like, the consequences of sending selfies that were not that they're not appropriate selfies.
Okay,
And,
so
yeah, traumatizing.
that's an adverse childhood experience.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you,
You're
mom.
welcome.
Like, it was terrible. It was and I never even had a detention at that point. Like, I was not, um
still don't have a speeding ticket.
still don't have a speeding ticket. No, and,
Faked
but
arrest.
I have been fake arrested, yes. Yeah, it wasn't fun. But anyway,
I'm rarely at a loss for words, and
but that's
that's
how my
that's something
mom
else.
went through my and then the second other, like,
She's
one
trying to
when I
scare you
tried to
straight.
she I mean, I okay, so but I was a good student because balancing the I felt very responsible for my mom's and dad's feelings, especially, like, in the divorce and maintaining that homeostasis,
Yeah.
and, um So school, I didn't act out at school. Number one, that was my safe place. Like, that was where I felt most safe, and I actually had a really good connection with one of the teachers, which my mom also vetoed because I think parents, they'll see the connection that they want to have with someone, and they see it happening, and they have to shut it down. And they're like, "Yeah, that's," and then then you have nothing, and it's like, I had a I don't know, it's, again, all these things happened. I used to drink at them. I used to say, poor me." And now it's like, guess what? Those things are now like what helps me connect to other people. Like
Yeah.
that's what helps me understand things that happen that can make those drugs feel so good and so relieving and make you just feel like, okay, they're not in the forefront of my mind right now.
Yeah.
But the next drink is. I want another, like, I'm trying, like, let's suppress it as much as I possibly can.
Yeah. How long have you guys been sober?
A little over 3 years now.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
3 years.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Awesome.
not
Congratulations.
it was, like, not a super long time, but, I mean, I'm pretty confident, at least in myself, like, I don't crave drinks or drugs anymore,
Yeah.
like, if
Yeah.
anything, it's very much the opposite. I am the recoil like a hot flame. Like,
Yeah.
I don't identify as much with, but that was part of, like, the work I did, the surrender I've done. I've also done therapy work, like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of different things that I've done, but, I don't, like, see a margarita and wish I could have one. Like, I'm like,
Right.
the
Right.
way I drank, like, I've never really wanted just one. That wasn't the
Yeah.
point. My
Yeah.
point
Yeah.
was to
I can't remember when it happened, but at some point, like, the, alcohol on a menu just became another word on the menu.
yeah, I
It
don't
wasn't
Right.
something that I, like, stopped at when I was going through everything. It was just another word, another item that's
yeah.
on the menu at a restaurant.
It's not
Yeah.
something I really, like, I don't see wine and be like, "Oh, I wish I could have a glass." Like, I know that is some people's experience. It's just not
Yeah.
mine. But
Well, I'll tell you something really, like, really strange that happened to me last year. Was it last year or the year before? I don't know. I had never been anywhere where marijuana was legal, where THC was legal, and I was in Washington, DC, and
oh, yeah. Okay.
I was walking, I was walking to a restaurant, and I didn't even realize where, like, I wasn't paying attention to the stores or anything. So I'm
Oh, no.
walking down the street, and I walk past a store, and I can smell it, like, I just smell it.
Mhm.
And in the immediate, my brain, who's been sober for so long, went, "Nobody would know."
No.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
I was there alone.
Yeah.
Like, I was there alone, and my immediate reaction was, "But my wife would leave me." So, like,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's I'm just gonna keep walking. But it was
Don't
so
have that thought because you
weird.
might be like, "Well, thankfully, I can get my wife to leave me." Be like I'm just kidding.
Start over.
Kidding.
Well,
Fresh start.
yeah, that's the kind of flyby you had
No, but
said
those
that the
happen.
flyby thoughts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Okay.
kinda like a bird, and I do remember my first time in sobriety. Like, I mean, I can clear as day kinda remember a moment similar to where it was at a Stars game, and it was the first time I think I was kinda, like, alone, and I was like, "I could go get a shot and no one would know." Like,
Mhm.
no one would kn like, no one's watching me, no one's I'm in this public place, like, and it's I would know. And you
Yep,
learn that's who really counts. It doesn't really matter if the inventory, your amends, it's not about them. It's about you.
right. It's about
And
you.
and I wouldn't be able to live with knowing, but I think it's normal to be e it's kinda again, you're testing your boundary of how can I escape? Like, how can I,
Right.
um and I think, in my opinion, I've told Colin this, those kinds of moments are me reestablishing my step 1. I look at that as like, "Oh, I had like, wait, I need to take a minute and, like, remind myself I am powerless over
Yep,
alcohol and drugs," and I kinda use that as a, "Hey, my higher power just gave me a small tap on the shoulder and was like, 'Let's bring it back to step 1.'"
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that's kinda how I look at it, but
yeah.
I
To
know,
it's
like,
hard to again, these are things that take time and practice, um, and I don't know how to explain that to a teenager either because it can be a hard concept to learn.
oh, for sure.
It's
Yeah,
not
it is, and, you know, when you walk a I've been blessed enough to teach, help right around 150 students from all over the country quit vaping, and
and they probably helped other people quit, and it's like this it cycles.
right.
So really,
The
you've probably helped way more than that.
I hope so, like, I hope
For
so
your sake.
because I remember the first time that I used like, the first time I smoked a cigarette. And that was for me, there was so much pressure, and I just wanted to fit in, and
Mhm.
I just wanted friends because I was new to the Air Force Base, and I wanted people to like me, and I wanted people to connect with, and, like, I just wanted that I don't know,
Inclusive.
that yeah, I wanted that community, and I didn't have it. I'd gone through the whole week of being there with, going to school, and nobody really talked to me, and then at the end of the week, I get invited to a birthday party, and I'm like, "Oh, this is it," and then there's this cigarette, and it's like, "Okay, like, I gotta do this," so I can be a part of the crowd, and so, like, I remember that moment, but when I quit, like, I remember, like, how I had to shift my mindset in so many different things as far as how I was going to deal with stress, how I was
Oh,
going to
yeah.
deal with self-doubt, how I was going to deal with the unexpected, and I always say my dad always and he still says this today, but I accept it so much more now, but proper preparation prevents poor performance. And I used to hate it as a kid, because I'd come home and be like, let me see your report card. And I'd be like, it's all F's. And he'd go, proper preparation prevents poor performance. And I'd be like, yeah, but what is that? What does that really mean? Like you would never, you'd never dig
Yeah,
any deeper
that's
into that.
a
Uh,
very interesting response.
you
Like, you're like,
um, the,
"I'm in 1st grade." Like,
yeah. But as I got older, and as I became an adult and when I quit smoking, and stopped using everything else, I started to really kinda dig into that. What does proper preparation prevent poor performance mean? And it was really like, just you're not gonna be prepared for everything, but you can do the best that you can with the tools that you have.
Yeah.
And
yep,
the more tools that you have, the better that you're gonna do. And so, like, I just started to search for resources and, you
build
know
that toolbox.
build the toolbox, and back in 2003, I didn't know about treatment centers, I didn't know about anything like that, and so it was like, I don't know, there was a church and they had coffee and, that was the first try, and there was, like, a weird lady there, and
It's
it
always a weird lady.
wasn't a good fit for me, and I was like, I'm out, man, I can't do this." And so the insurance that I had at the time had some really good, like, counseling, um, benefits, and so I just started to do that, and I, put some tools in the toolbox and started to research some more, and that kinda became my proper preparation prevents poor performance. So, when the unexpected
I like that.
happens, what are my 3 positive self-talk statements that I'm going to use? And when I get up in the morning, what are the 3 things that I'm gonna write down that are positive self-talk statements so that when the unexpected happens, I can say those 3 things. Or when I get stressed out, I can say those 3 things. Or when I disagree with my wife, I can say those 3 things so that I don't go back into that mode that I used to go, that prideful mode that I used to go into, that Nathan's always right and Nathan has to have his way. Like, I need to say those 3 things because I don't wanna go back to that person. I don't wanna be that person ever again. And so, like, if I can just have that one thing in my toolbox, I'm gonna tell students, "Listen, if you can just write down one thing in the morning, or if you can remember one positive phrase that you can say to yourself when a teacher yells at you, or when your guardians are arguing, or when life didn't turn out the way that you didn't think it should turn out, and you can repeat it over and over to yourself again and again, eventually you're going to start to believe it.
Yeah.
And then you can move forward. Like you don't have to use nicotine, you don't have to use THC, you don't have to drink alcohol. You know that you believe that statement and that life's going to be okay. This is just a moment in time. And
Yeah.
the great things about moments in time is they move on and you move forward.
Was it this too shall pass? It was like a nice
Yeah.
phrase
Yeah.
used during some hard times.
I also think it was one of the things that this could be this was what was kind of helpful for me. Again, I was an adult. I was 27 when I got sober. But when I went to that meeting that Monday night, that was the first time I kind of had heard I had a choice. And I think I forgot that, like, someone had said, like, what if I told you today was like, you'll never have to drink again after today? And I was like, that sounds like some crazy shit. Like, that sounds like from someone who drank handle. I'm like, that sounds wild. Like, okay. And I was like, I kind of forgot I had a choice. And I think even with vaping, with anything that you have that like over 30-day routine,
Hmm.
you're like, it's not like washing your hands. It's not like brushing your teeth. And it's like, oh yeah, I forgot. I do kind of have a choice. Like you can take your power back.
Yeah.
And I had not realized that because the time that I had gotten to, drinking was a necessity. Drugs were a necessity. It was not, it was a survival tool in my toolkit. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I can take things out of
Yeah.
my toolbox and I can replace them with better tools." But reminding myself, "Hey, just so you know, like this is a choice." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I didn't know that." And I hadn't had and I never have had a drink since I heard that because I didn't
Wow.
know I had a choice at that point.
Yeah.
And hearing that, I'm like, "Oh, yeah." And that's what clicked for me, and that's again, it sounds really simple, really stupid, really small, but for me, that was a big eye opener of this is how deep I was.
Yeah.
It was like brushing my teeth.
How is it? I mean, I'm sure it's got to be super rewarding to see the teens when it clicks for them of when they do stop vaping, but when they start to realize, oh, my life's so much better now. Like, do they come to you and tell you that I'm more productive in this area, or I'm feeling healthier, or I mean, what is like, when's the moment they start to realize, like, oh, this is better not vaping like every 2 minutes
You
of
probably
my
see it
day?
before they even know it, though.
Yeah. Like, I mean, so sometimes when I meet with a lot of them on Zoom, and sometimes when that camera opens up, I can see it in their face. I'm like, "You haven't had any nicotine today." You
Mhm.
know, you can see it. And, but it is really cool because I mean, there's been a couple of them who have graduated, high school, and I had one reach out to me probably 3 or 4 months ago, and he said, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know that when you were taking me through, the quitting process, you asked me what my dream life was, and I told you that I wanted to be the best welder that there was, and I wanted to work for, this company, um, and I achieved my dream life." And I mean, that almost, like, wanted to make me cry, like, I almost wanna cry saying it, and,
That's where
um
helping others is actually it helps you because you think of that moment and it's like, it's so powerful.
Yeah, it's
It
super, super powerful. And there was one student locally who his mom, she dragged him into my office literally by his ear, and she was like, "Tell him what you're doing." And
Oh
I
god.
felt so bad for him because I've been in that moment, like, I've been him, and he was like, I've been vaping," and she's like, "Tell him how much," and all he was like, "All the time," and I was like, "Okay, alright," I was like, "Just sit down for a minute," and so I said told his mom, I was like, "Will you go outside with me?" And she's like, "Yeah," and so we went outside, and I said, "Hey, why don't you leave for an hour? Just give me an hour."
I
And
don't I would expect that kind of response to be like the Dexter type, like, "My son's
Right,
been
right.
murdering people on the street." I mean, they're bad guys, but it's still it's
Yeah.
murder.
it was a pretty heavy response, but she left and we talked for an hour and I told him, I said, listen, I can't force you to go through my program. If you want to go through it, you can go through it. But if not, you don't have to go through it. And he said, no, I'd really like to go through it. And so he went through it. It's typically a 12-week program. It took him about 17 weeks, which is fine.
Mhm.
Because some people take longer and that's
Yeah.
okay. So last year, um, last year, he sent me a message and he said, "Hey, I'm getting married, and I was wondering if you would come to my wedding."
Oh,
And I mean, right? Like, and there's like, it's those moments of it's just those moments
Connection.
of,
Yeah.
right, of that connection to where you know that you've helped someone. And there was a lot of, it's not just, "Hey, you gotta quit vaping." It's like, what's going on in life? Like, let's talk about that first.
It's the
Are
root
you
issue.
happy? It's the root issue, you
Mhm.
know?
It's all that's
And
just a side effect. That's what we learned.
yeah, that's what it is.
Are a lot of the people that come to you wanting to quit, is it something that they're wanting to do or they're being forced
I was like, it
to?
sounds like the parents almost, like
Yeah. Or is it half and half, or how is that? What are you seeing? Are they kids just now realizing that, "Oh, I've been doing this for, like, 2 years and it's getting out of control, and I need to stop or slow down?" Like, how does that work, or what are you seeing?
So it's a mixture of things. So, it can be the parent wants them to quit, and they've kind of been thinking about it anyways, and so they're open to it. I always ask them, you have to be open. If you're not open to this, it's not gonna work,
Right.
and so,
it's
um,
true.
so at least if they're open to it, we're gonna give it a shot. The parent and the school, has, forced them to quit, but they've still been thinking about it anyways, so, um, so they will go, "Okay, yeah, I'll give it a shot." And then sometimes I'll just get a message and it'll say, "Hey, my friend told me about you and I want to quit vaping and I don't know how to do it. And this is how much nick I'm using and I just can't do it anymore." And, cool, let's get
So
started.
as we're
Pounding.
I I know we are also taking a lot of your time. I'm so sorry. I was gonna say,
You're
can
fine.
people still contact you? Like, if someone's listening to this right now and either they have a child or maybe it is someone who is I mean, anyone can technically listen to the
'Cause you said you
podcast.
do Zoom, so
Yeah,
it's
is
gotta be
there
helpful.
do
Yeah.
they have to be in Tennessee? Can it be anywhere? Can it be
No, it can be anywhere because
Yeah.
again, like I go to schools all over the nation and I'll leave that school, I'll be in like Nebraska and I'll come home and 2 weeks later I'll have a message from a student and it'll be like, "Hey, your message really I've been thinking about it, really kind of got to me and if you can help me quit vaping, I'd like to go through that."
Okay.
And
We'll
so
put that in that I think I have your website, or
yeah,
how to get in touch with you, and
yep,
it's the, nathanwaryspeaks.com. So, I mean, I'll put that
yep.
all in the show notes and whatnot, so if you do wanna get in touch, if this sounds like something that again, I don't really know who listens, I'll continue to say that until I start to kinda know, but we're still getting it up and roll other than my mom, so, I mean, she listens, and
Well,
Colin and I, but
my mom and dad will listen.
There
So
you
so,
go.
there you
yeah,
go.
I mean, the if you
The moms that listen,
so the
spread the word.
hashtag, yeah, but, uh, yeah, it's cool. So you can be booked, like, as by a school district, individually by the parent, or even do you do both the parent and the child, like, Zoom, like, kinda doing, like, a family, or is it more preferred
So
one-on-one?
so if a student contacts me, the very first thing that I tell them is your guardian is gonna have to contact me. And I
Oh,
know
well,
that's
obviously, yeah.
it.
I was like, legally,
I
yeah.
know, yeah, I know that is tough. You're gonna have to go if they don't know, you're gonna have to go tell them, "Hey,
Oh,
rape
yeah.
and this guy can help me quit." Um, but yes, so I can do both. The guardian can stay on. If they don't want to stay on, I do have someone who they keep their camera off but they stay on the Zoom. The Zoom is recorded. So if the guardian has any questions or has any doubts, they can get the video recording and watch it all the way through. That's no problem at all. And yes, I can be booked by school districts, conferences, whatever. Doesn't matter. I'll just come and share what I know and my expertise.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, you said it. The kids know they know when something's authentic and when something is total
Yeah.
BS. And
Yeah.
that was what I got told early on too, was don't try and go into an AA meeting with bullshit because those are
Right.
the expert bullshitters. Like they will read it
Yep.
because they used to bullshit. So they'll be able to read it like within seconds. They'll know if you're I mean, you can just I don't know how else to explain it. You just hear if it's authentic or if it's written, which is why with like in the beginning, we don't have like this scripted thing going
Yeah.
because it's
I love it.
it's I don't know. We don't want to be scripted. I don't want to sound like a robot. That's not what addiction and recovery is about. Like, I don't know.
No, this is
We probably
this is
should be meta.
this has been like I'll be honest with you. I've done several podcasts. This has been one of my favorites because it is that connection. It's just a conversation, and it's like
That's all it
I've
is.
enjoyed it, and you're like, "I wanna be," and I'm like, "I could do this all day, like, let's just
Yeah,
like,
it's just
let's
going back and
let's
forth.
make lunch."
Yeah. I mean, it's been a really good connection for us. So we've said at minimum, like this podcast has helped us talk to just a lot of people and have just good resources if people want to use it.
Yeah,
And
yeah, for
um
sure.
and again, if they're looking to contact someone, this is a way to just kind of help spread the word. And
Yeah,
as we do recover, thank God. Thank God.
yes, yeah,
I
absolutely.
couldn't last much longer. That at least for me. But Colin, I mean, you have any question? Like I was like,
More will be revealed.
oh, you can tell us
Yeah.
what the lingo is now, like what the new words are for
Oh, man.
the
They
teens.
they change so fast. Right now, like, anxiety is, knee surgery, so if you're feeling anxious, like, tomorrow's my knee surgery. Um,
Your
Riz is
knee
still
surgery. Mhm.
yeah,
What did we
yeah.
hear? Ohio
Ohio
is
is
one.
like
Oh.
lame
Oh,
or
yeah, Ohio's lame, so if you have Ohio Riz, that is you have no
Ohio
curriculum at
Riz.
all.
Heck,
Yep.
I got family in Cincinnati, so I feel bad for them that
I know, they've got Ohio Riz, it's not
They
yeah.
gotta like, yeah, I
um,
don't all these words, I'm like,
yeah, yep.
but you
Low
probably
taper fade, the low taper fade.
Oh,
I
okay.
always wear a hat, and typically, at the end of an assembly, they'll always be like, "What kinda haircut you got?" And I'll go, "You know, I got a low taper fade," and then they're like, "Oh!" They all go crazy. It's so fun. So fun.
I
So
was gonna
fun.
say, do you try to use or again, I think that that's kinda like if I were to go into a class and, like, try and use those words, they would sniff it out that I am trying,
Yeah.
and that's not who I am.
You're trying too hard.
I am.
Oh.
I'm giving
Yeah.
Ohio,
Giving
like
desperation.
So I do it in a certain way. So I have there's a slide where I put up a picture, my senior picture, and I like I get to this. We just come out of this really heavy moment of where one of my friends has passed away in high school, and so a lot of the kids are crying. There's this real emotional moment, and I put up my senior picture, and I'll say, somehow I made it to my senior year, and this is my senior picture. I was at the doctor one day, and the doctor came in with all this paperwork, and when the doctor comes with all the paperwork, it is not good. And he told me that I should probably call my mom and my dad, that I should probably get them there, and I'm thinking like, man, what is going on? What's about to happen? And I only do this at middle school, and so I'm like, I'm thinking like, what is about to happen? And he said, Nathan, you've been diagnosed with a really complex disorder, and you really need your mom and dad here. And I tell the doctor, like, just tell me. I'll tell my mom and dad when they get here. Just tell me what it is. I need to know because I can't take it. Like, I'm stressed out. I want to know what it is.
yeah.
And the doctor says, I'm sorry, Nathan, but you've been diagnosed with rhizatitis. And the kids are kind of like they're taken off for a minute, and then they're like, "What?" And you can hear, like, in some of my videos, you can hear,
What?
like, you can hear him say that. You hear me like, "What?" And then I'll go, "But there was a secondary, like, side effect to this." And it had another name, and so the doctor told me, he said, it's actually sigma rosatitis, and sigma is a word that they use all the time.
Stigma,
And
yeah.
so, yeah, and so then they really kinda start laughing, and, either that or they get real, like, "That's cringe," and
Cringe.
I don't care either way. I've gotten their reaction, and I brought them out of that heavy moment, which
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to do. And so I'll go, but there was no cure for it. Like, there's no cure for sigma rosatitis. Like, you just always have it, and I said, so the doctor told me that. So I had to do my own research. What I found out was that there was actually a Latin term. And I bet you guys didn't even know that there was a Latin term for sigma rosatitis. And they're all like, no, we had no idea, and I'm like, yeah, the Latin term, it's alpha sigma rosatitis. And then they're just, they're gone by that point. Um, and so just
Yeah.
reel it again. And then I really dive into why my senior picture is up there, um, but I
And I
try to
love puns
yeah,
and stuff like that.
I try to do that throughout because there's happy moments, there's down moments, there's happy moments, there's down moments, and so I try to bring them up and down, up and down, up and down, give them education, bring them up and down, give them education,
Yeah.
and then wrap it up, and the down moments are just real stories, and a lot of times they'll come to me and they'll go, that reminded me of a time when,
Mm,
and it's like, yeah, and it gives me a moment to go like, how are you doing now? Like, how are you handling things now?
yeah.
And if they're not handling things well, then okay, what are our next steps?
Yeah.
What do we need to do? I In November, I was at a school, and a student came up to me afterwards, and he said, um, "I'm glad you came today because I had a plan for after school."
Mm,
And I said, "Well, let's get you connected, and like let's go talk to the counselor." And I was supposed to have an assembly right after that one. And so we went to the counselor, we talked to the counselor, and it was just, I'm a new
yeah.
student, kids call me fat, I don't feel welcome here, and I feel like
Loneliness.
the
Yeah. And there's
loneliness.
no connection and there's like yeah, humans, I
Yep,
think that we seek connection.
we crave it. We crave
And
it.
that's sometimes it takes just someone coming in from the outside speaking and saying, "Hey, it's like not directly to you," because when you feel directed at, it can feel overwhelming or like you've been
Yeah.
pulled out and now you're like outed. And
Yeah,
instead, it's like, "Oh, this person's speaking to all of us." So once
yeah,
it's something that clicks, it's like, "Okay, maybe I can seek some guidance." And
yep,
you might not even know that again, like I got told with alcohol, I had a choice, which sounds very you like you think you know, but it takes someone saying it for me to connect the two.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes you don't realize it's happening,
right.
and
So
that's where you get lost.
yeah, so he got connected, and really just he just needed a friend, like, that's all that he
Mhm.
needed. And so, I left him with the counselor, and I told him, I said, "Hey, I'm gonna check on you before I leave the school." And I had 2 more assemblies that day to do, and so I did both assemblies, and we were walking out, and that was one that my wife went to me with, and so I'm if I don't write it down, I'm gonna forget it. And not that kid
Oh,
doesn't
me too.
matter to me,
Yeah.
it's just I'm just gonna forget it. And so we're walking out of the school, and my wife said his name, and she goes, "You need to check on him." And I went, "Oh, oh, yeah, 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 yeah." So I went in the office, and I said, "Hey, can you call him up here?" And they're like, "Yeah." And so he came, and, like, seen him coming down the hall, I mean, smiling from ear to ear, looked like a completely different kid. And he comes in the office, and he goes, "Mr. Nathan, I ate lunch with somebody today." Like, that was his big moment,
Mhm.
like, that was, and
Wow.
and if I can do that, I don't listen, I'm not there to tell you it the reality of things is I'm not there to tell you that drugs are bad and that drugs are going to kill you and that drugs are going to ruin your life. Those are all things you probably already know, you've probably already seen, you probably already figured out. I'm there to tell you that you matter, that you have value, that you have worth. that's
You have
what
choice too. Yeah,
yeah,
like you have
and you have choices, right? And there are consequences to those choices, but here's why you probably make the choices you do.
Mhm.
Like, that's why I'm there, and when I get to see moments like that, it's like, I'm just gonna keep going, man. Like, I'm just gonna keep
yeah.
pushing, and I'm gonna get better, and I'm gonna keep, contacting schools, and, like, I'm just gonna keep
I don't think
going.
they want you to stop, so it's probably, I mean, mutual.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I
Yep.
hope yeah.
I'm excited to share this. This was
This was
awesome.
awesome,
Like I said,
especially since like I said, we've never really talked or considered about vaping, but we
we're
know it's
teens
kind of
in
like a
general.
big. But my sponsor has a teenager, and he tells me all the time about like the vaping. I knew it was a big deal, but I never really dove much into it. And
Yeah.
sometimes it kind of I future trip a little bit because we have a 5-year-old, and it's like, man, what's going to be the thing in 10 years that's going to be the
Right.
new addiction?
But we won't know. Things
No,
go so fast. I'm like,
I also think a lot of it could be gambling, like
Oh,
FanDuels and stuff.
do you know, do you follow Saul Malik?
It sounds
mm,
familiar.
Oh. Okay,
I knew a Saul, but it is not that one.
if not, I'll connect you with him. So he speaks on problem gambling, and he was, uh, I think he gambled in college, but he speaks at schools about that, and
Oh my
and that
goodness.
is it's an increasing problem.
Well,
Yeah.
it's the only disorder in the DSM-5 that is listed. You have the substance use disorder section. And I actually just put this out on Substack, and it was kind of a fun game. I was like, what's the only disorder that is considered a substance abuse, but is not an ingestible substance? And someone said tobacco. I was like, you inhale tobacco. Like, and someone said porn, which I was like, okay, that's actually a kind of, but I don't think that's under substance abuse. I think that's relationship or mood. I don't know where that falls under.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah.
gambling disorder is a literally a code number you can classify
Huh.
because of the dopamine it produces when gambling. So even though it's you have to fit within. I think they make the criteria a little bit harder. It's like 5 of 9, where a lot of them, like depression, is like 3 of 9, or like high
Yeah.
induced severities. But nope, gambling disorder is the only substance use disorder that is not something you ingest or inhale.
Huh.
That is listed in the DSM-5. It's the very last page.
He is, I didn't know that. I don't even really know him well. We've just been connected through Instagram. I know that he's moving to Nashville soon, but I live 2.5 hours from Nashville, but, um, he's been on the Dr. Phil show. He's got a TED Talk coming up, and so what he knows about problem gambling, I think he'd be a really great resource for y'all. Um,
Uh,
It's also one of those things where you
Yeah, it can.
like addiction, you feel like you have a handle on it, and you feel like you can manage it, and you feel like, oh, it's so easy. I can,
I'll just
of,
make it up. I'll
yeah,
double down.
of
right,
course
right.
they're gonna win because, and that's anything can happen in sports gambling as someone gets hurt and changes the whole dynamic of the game.
And you know what's so funny about the way that they market it? It is the absolute same way that you see it done in the movies with, like, or like the comedies of where they're, like, selling cocaine or whatever it is. They're like, "Hey, man, your first one is free."
Oh yeah,
With
I mean,
with
seriously.
get
Right,
in
with
this
no
code
with
and
get
get
yeah, per this code, you get $100
Yeah,
free.
first bet's free. We'll
yeah.
match it.
Right.
I never thought about it like that. That is exactly
I've always said it, and they even send you like, here's a scratch off for you to do your first one, and like you
Yeah,
can scratch it on your phone. Like, come on, guys.
yeah,
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 no, it's
yeah,
definitely, yeah. It's just like it is the only disorder that is in the DSM-5 that is a under substance use disorder, and can be diagnosed as a gambling use disorder, which
correct.
they also don't call like alcoholism. They call it alcohol use disorder.
yeah.
So everything is there's been some shift changes in wording and
Yeah, because it's not it
classifications and
is it it's not addiction anymore, right? It's substance use disorder now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Which
it's the language is changing, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's it's a good thing. But I what I noticed though is like a lot of people who are actively in substance use disorder, they will own that addict terminology. Like they're like, I'm an
I
addict.
used to. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm an alcoholic. I can outdrink everyone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it,
Yep. I,
I used to
same.
not think about it, but now I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not something I should have been so proud of, but it's what also keeps me sober today. So like I know I can't really do it differently. I don't have that desire to be like maybe I can be. I just know in my like heart I'm an alcoholic.
Mm,
I knew it before I got sober. It's just getting sober I thought was impossible for me.
yeah.
And here we are. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't you couldn't have told me. Like I'd be like I'd laugh so hard like if you would have
Um,
told me I've been sober.
I I thought it was impossible too, but when my wife told me our son was 3 months old, and she told me, she said, "You can either be a husband and a father, or you can get out."
Oh wow.
And that was kind of the moment where I was like, "Hmm, maybe sobriety isn't that far off."
Yeah.
Like,
And I mean
right.
that's the and it was people say it cuz hard I don't it's hard to compare, but like doing it together was very hard because we're both like as he'll say, he was waiting for me to give it up, and be like,
Oh,
"Okay,
wow.
let's just do it." And I'm kinda like on him, and so we're both on each other, like, who's gonna give in first? And because we both got sober the same day, and with a
Wow.
2-year-old.
Yeah.
And so our son and so
Wow.
we were both having to, like, kinda call each other out in the same addiction that we both had, and it was very, in the first year, it was very interesting. Some people are like, "You're so lucky you had someone." I'm like, "I don't know, man." It's like having 2 people going through getting sober together with a 2-year-old is
Well,
not, like,
parenting. Yeah.
not easy.
It's like 3 2-year-olds being in the house,
It's
Yeah.
probably.
like 3 it was 3, and we all had our own rooms. And, like, it's like it was hard because we all had different days
And paths.
and paths, and it was not all equal. Again, we didn't have same childhood experiences or therapy experiences or,
So I have to ask a question, because
yeah.
my marriage was it was that. And my wife she wasn't a drinker. She didn't even know when we got married that I wasn't sober. I hid everything from her until the
Oh.
day that we moved in together, and then she was just like, "Oh God." Um, so she didn't know, but I have to ask this. So when you were going through that, when you were, going through your sobriety, when you were figuring all that out, and life was difficult, marriage was hard, was there a time where either one of you were just like, I don't know that this is, I don't know
100%.
that this is,
All the time.
All
yeah,
the time.
yeah,
All the time.
Well, when
yeah.
they
I was already picturing my new life.
well, I was on
Divorce.
apartments.com almost every day looking like, "Which
And then I argued with him about apartment start, and I'm like, "You're already looking up, like, you know what? I'm keeping the house. I'm no, and
Well,
you're selling the
well, another thing that doesn't help too, because we both were seeing therapists and counselors, is they even say, well, a lot of times when a couple gets sober together, they
you don't
don't
say."
stay together,
They
or
prepped us. They were like, "There's a good chance this will
Oh,
not work out."
because of who you are and who you become,
And I was like,
it's
"Good."
gonna be a different person. Yeah, because who we were dating. How long did we date?
We dated all through our we drank through our entire dating life. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, that was
oh,
what we did.
It wasn't like we were together a very short time.
No, we were living together.
Yeah, we dated a good 3, 5 years, then got married, and then, when we had Evan. So, I mean, we were together 6 years before we got sober.
Yeah, I wasn't even expecting him when I said I was going to a meeting that night for him to say me too. Like, I thought I was like, "This is where we split up," like, and, it's
right.
like but what we learned or what I learned is I worked with a sponsor who told me what he does is none of my business right now. Like, my business is my recovery, because I was more concerned on him drinking around me, or because he wasn't so sure about it, being sober at first. He didn't think he might be an alcoholic. He's like, he thought I was the problem. I was kind of like, well, no, you're also the problem. But we would kind of get at it. And I was reminded, I just need to focus on myself. I need to not worry about what he's doing, what's happening. Like, we just need to grow individually. And as we grew individually, we learned, hey, we can actually, we like our core things we love about each other, but it's it was a lot of focusing on us instead of like looking at the other person, because that's what we were doing. Oh, you're doing this wrong. You're doing this wrong. You're doing this wrong. And instead it was like, wait, why do I have such a problem with you doing it that way? And then communicating like, hey, when you do this, it's not that you don't make me feel like this. I just feel like this. So can we find a way to fix those types of things? And I'll be honest, we really don't fight very often. Like, very rarely do we fight, because we are pretty communicative about like when things are bothering us, or we make an amend pretty fast.
Yeah, I was about to say, when we do fight, the amends comes a lot faster, and
Because it's about us. It's about me. It had
it's
nothing
not
to
like
do with
a
you.
day or two long fight where we're both, separated, not talking to each other for a long
Right.
time. And
You don't have that awkward moment in the hallway where you're passing each other and
exactly, yeah, it's usually pretty quick where we get over things instead of holding on to it for
'Cause I learned that that's what my
months.
part is. My part is that all grudge, and, like, that grudge, you know who that's hurting? Not him, it's hurting me.
yeah, yeah. I'm the bitter Betty.
And I'm
Um,
better at when I just tell him, like, "Hey, it might sound stupid to you, but, like, when you suggest something in this manner, it really, I start to feel belittled," or a lot of times I'll tell him, like, "This reminds me of something I grew up with."
yeah,
Especially when we're parenting Evan and I start to shut down, I have to explain to him, like, "Hey, this is something that happened in my childhood, and my body is just really scared that that is going to happen to Evan, and so this is why I act this way." And again, it's not like, "You made me angry." It's like, "No, I became angry, but here, let me at least give you a background why."
Yeah.
yeah, yep,
And then he kind of understands, and then once you have that authentic understanding, no, he's not gonna be like, "That's stupid." He's gonna go, "Oh my god, that totally makes sense now." And
yeah.
same for
Yeah.
reversed. Like, I mean, he's gotten frustrated, and, um, like, he's going to play tennis today, and, that's his outlet, because he's told me he doesn't go play tennis because he wants to be away. It's just like
Right.
it's his feel good moment. That's how
Sure.
he gets his endorphins.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
that's his.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut
No,
you
you're
off.
good, you're good.
Um, follow-up question. C for Colin. Colin, when did you like so all that happens, when did you realize so you're on apartments.com and then things are getting better. When do you realize, like, what's that moment where you look at her and you go, "Okay, you know what? I really do love her. Like, I'm in love with her, and I don't
When
want
was that moment?
yeah.
I would like to know.
I'm trying to get you brownie points here, Colin, so
Yeah, no,
you
I
gotta keep
always wanted it to work out, but of course, there's
I don't know.
fights where you just do irrational things to probably make you happy in that moment. Like going on apartments.com is an irrational thing to do. And it's just that like daydream kind of scenario that it's not going to happen, but you're so angry, you just need to have an outlet to be like, well, I'm going to live my own life. But then you don't think
right.
about consequences of, okay, how are you going to, you're going to sell the house, or you're going to have to do this or that, there's all these other things you're not thinking about. And, I wanted us to work, but I realized, we both come from divorced parents, and it's just kind of like, you almost put it in yourself, like, I'm fighting this uphill battle. We're gonna end up being two completely different people than the person we originally married, because we like to get fucked up all the time, and now we're not. So, like, who are we gonna
Yeah.
be now?
Yeah.
And, it's different, but we still like to do the same things. We still like a lot of comedy and stand-ups. And then I found
We love dark humor.
one thing
You're
that
definitely
helped me
dark humor people.
was going back and doing things that I loved before my addiction. Like, I played tennis all through my childhood, and going back and doing more of that because I associated that not as a drinking or drug. Like, that was something
Yeah.
that was separated, even though I had played tennis, sometimes drunk. But for the most part, when I think of me playing tennis, it was like a different time before I got into my addiction.
Yeah.
So it's like I got to tap back into that.
Yeah. And I mean, like I
So
said, we just get along really well. Like we almost started like dating in sobriety. And that was kind of like, I don't know, we just started like when we go on date and we just kind of get to know each other because I don't think we knew who we were
Mhm.
for a little
Right.
bit.
Yeah.
So
I asked that question because I when I was getting sober, I would threaten to leave. And especially when the day wasn't going my way, like
Mhm.
I would just try to start a fight. Like I just wanted it was almost like I wanted her to kick me out, but she wouldn't do it. Like
Yeah.
I was pushing and pushing and pushing, but she wouldn't do it. And so there was I guess it was, I don't know, it was really close to Thanksgiving. I had started a fight and I was like, I'm leaving. And so I get this little suitcase out. It's almost like being a little kid, like
yeah,
you're like, I'm leaving, and you're like,
Running
I'm
away.
going away.
yeah, we throw a tantrum.
So
Yeah. No, I
yeah.
know.
So I throw the suitcase on the bed and I'm getting stuff out of my dresser. And she walks over all calm and nice and she starts putting stuff in the suitcase with me. And I go, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "I just wanted to help." And and I like in that moment, I wanted to be so mad at her, like
Yeah.
what a jerk move. But in that moment, like I realized like how much of a giver she's always been
Mhm.
like, I just want to help. I just want to help. Just let me help. Like how much of a giver she is. And I thought about that in that moment and I thought, man, if I leave what I have, this giver, I won't make it. Like I'm not gonna make it. And so I still like acted like I was leaving. I went through my whole scenario
Well,
and
we're still committed. I mean, I
yeah,
mean,
oh
we're
yeah, yeah,
stubborn.
right.
Yeah. Stubborn
I
and committed.
went to the door and and I I turned and I did like this narcissistic thing. I said, "If you can tell me 2 things that you love about me, I'll stay." And she said she goes, um, she goes, "Well, I can't tell you those right now because there's nothing that I love about you right now."
No.
And I was like, "Dang." Um, and so I like walked out to the car, I put my bag in the car. I went to the gas station, put gas in the car, like I didn't know what I was gonna do. And I finally like tucked my tail in and I drove back to the house and I said, "I'm a complete jerk. I am sorry."
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do. Like I don't know how to behave.
It's a fear
And
response.
it
Yeah.
it is, you know?
Yeah, I think we like the little bit of the drama of trying to test the boundary of when we're getting sober. That's at least for me.
Yeah.
It's like I had to have some camaraderie, and so I would create it.
We're testing the Joe Rogan podcast limits
Yeah,
here.
Yeah.
we are. But this is all really good stuff.
I've really enjoyed Yeah, this has been great.
Had
And
to.
well, thank you so much for coming out. Hey, well,
Thanks for having me.
you are welcome back whenever. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Check out Nathan's website. We'll put links below if you've liked anything you want to hear or anything. This is the man to contact. He is a good resource. And thank you for listening.
Bye.
I'm like,
Bye.
bye.